Welcome back to Underrated Sports, where we have news, predictions, and sports discussions on many sports. But today, in particular, we're going to be starting our NFL discussions. I'm here with Eric. Say what up, Eric.
What up?
And we're going to be discussing the trade deadline, the winners and losers, and our own thoughts and opinions on this. So, we're going to start off at the very beginning of this all, mid October, where it all began with Robbie Anderson. The trade deadline for Arizona received Robbie Anderson from Carolina. What's your thoughts on that, Eric?
I think it's a good trade for Arizona. Arizona's got a lot of good receivers, but receivers are one of those things you can always use more of. Plus, Robbie Anderson's really good, in my opinion. He didn't show a lot at the Jets, and then he went to Carolina, and I don't know what you thought about him there. But, he did all right. I'm not going to lie. He was a good receiver. He did his job. So I think overall it's a good trade for Arizona.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. For a 6th round and 7th round pick, I definitely think Robbie Anderson is worth it. He didn't get to showcase what he had at Carolina, I think, because they weren't incorporating him into the game plan, and that frustration kind of showed there whenever he got thrown out of the game there. And so I'll be excited to see what he could do at Arizona. I think Arizona definitely won this trade. To me, it looks like. I don't know what you think. Do you think they won this trade?
Yeah, I think so. I think if Carolina can use their draft picks effectively, having a sixth in 2024 and a seventh in 2025, those aren't great, draft choices, but I think if they can use them right, it'll be good enough. But I really think that Arizona made out like a bandit on this trade getting Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, moving on to the next one. What you got on that?
So for the next one, we have the big trade of the deadline. We have the 49ers acquiring Christian McCaffrey from the Carolina Panthers. So the trade was Carolina receives Christian McCaffrey, and Carolina receives a 2023 second round, third round, fourth round, and a 2024 fourth round. What are your thoughts on that?
I think if you want to be in the win now mentality, this is a great move by the 49ers. As we can see, they have been dead in the water in the beginning. Nobody's been thinking about these 49ers. Trey Lance, he's in there. He's the guy now. Then he gets hurt. Jimmy G is back. And then there wasn't that confidence there yet. And then you bring in Christian McCaffrey. The dude goes out, throws a touchdown, catches a touchdown, and rushes a touchdown for the first time since Walter Payton. That's kind of unreal. So I don't think Carolina lost this trade, but for a win now mentality, this was definitely the right move by San Francisco. Getting him is definitely put them back into contention for the Super Bowl, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I like what you said. It's a win now mentality, and you can definitely tell that from San Francisco and what they're giving away. They are giving away a lot of good draft choices, and they're definitely playing the we want to win now. Look at the NFC West, my bad. Look at them right now. Honestly, that whole division's kind of, up in the air. If this works out for the 49ers, I think they have a good chance at winning it. And, see what happens from that. Yeah. I think on the flip side, though, Carolina is playing the long game. A second, a third, a fourth this year. A fifth in 2024, as well as the sixth in 2024 and the seventh in 2025 from Arizona. Carolina's playing the long game, and it's going to be interesting to see what they have to say about it later.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I know people were talking about a lot of tanking from Carolina, but they've hung on to DJ Moore and some of the young core. They're claiming that they're hanging on to their young core. They're not letting that go. So there's a lot of that's been up in the air. But I think this was a good move by both teams.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Hey, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and also comment down below what you thought the best trade of the deadline was.
Yes, we're always looking for your input and thoughts, and we want to interact with you guys, so make sure you put it down below. Jumping right back into it, we have the Jets. They received James Robinson. What do you think about that?
I think it's a great pickup by the Jets. With Breece Hall being injured and not coming back for the season, I think it's a great pickup for the Jets. Honestly, I've always liked James Robinson. He did great things down in Jacksonville. And that's kind of tough to say because Jacksonville the past few years hasn't been a great team. Let's be real here. And, even though that they're coming back this year, I think it's a good trade by the Jets picking up James Robinson to replace Breece Hall in their run-heavy system.
Yeah, I agree. This trade was definitely needed. Brees Hall. It sucks to see what happened. He was going to have a good career well, maybe not career defining season, but definitely part of that. And James Robinson definitely a good guy to bring in to help keep that run game what it was for the Jets.
Mm-hmm. And to mention this, Jacksonville did receive a conditional sixth round on this. So
Yeah, so I think the Jets. I think the Jets are the winner on this trade. Honestly, in my opinion.
oh yeah, 100%. Especially with the fact that Brees Hall went down and they're a very run heavy system. I think it's a good trade for the Jets, and I think yeah, they definitely win this one.
All right, moving back in, we have the Cowboys, the D line. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can take this one. So the Dallas Cowboys have received defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins and a 2024 seventh round draft pick for a 2023 sixth round draft pick to Las Vegas. You know, quite frankly, I'll be real with you guys. I haven't been able to see much of Dallas or Las Vegas, but from what I've seen, you know, Dallas at least are an all right team. They're doing pretty good this year. And the defense is holding up. I think, honestly, it's a solid addition to the team. I think you can't go wrong with adding players, especially on the defense. You know, we'll get to this later in the next pick, actually, with, you know, being able to rotate your defense in and out. I think that it's, you know, it's going to be a good thing for Dallas. It can't hurt.
Yeah, as we see in that next pick, I really don't know. I wouldn't say there's a winner or loser in this. Dallas just backing up. They're putting some depth to their defense. I think that'll be good for them as they're going to be trying to make their playoff run and try and have a deep defense to carry them through. So I don't know if there's really a winner or loser in this trade, to be quite honest. I'd say it's about equal.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it like this, Las Vegas is losing a defensive tackle. Las Vegas this season aren't doing great. Honestly, I think, you know, getting that little bit of extra salary space, maybe being able to do something else with it later, you know, just makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Moving into the Eagles, beefing up their defense with Robert Quinn. I don't think you could. This is definitely the right move by the Eagles, adding Robert Quinn to the defensive end. It's going to be a great addition. He's one of the best defensive ends in the league. I can't explain, like, the Eagles definitely won this pick, in my opinion. Like, that's just crazy. Because this is a Super Bowl team, contender team, obviously. They're undefeated. They're going to be making a run. They're stacking up the defense. Offense with Jalen Hurts running it has obviously been great. A.J. Brown, I mean, what more can you ask for from this team? I think they definitely win this trade.
Yeah, 100%. The fact that the Eagles, an 8-0 team right now, got Robert Quinn for a fourth round draft pick is actually kind of nuts. I'm not going to lie. I hated playing against, having the Packers play against Robert Quinn. He was just always a menace. He's a great defensive end. And quite frankly, I have seen a little bit of the Eagles, and what I've seen is they like to rotate their defense, like I mentioned in the last pick. They like to rotate their defense and kind of keep everybody fresh and keep things moving and changing. And I think that's going to be really nice to have Robert Quinn to add into that defense and keep things moving and rotating. Yes, Robert Quinn's a little bit old, but I mean, in that kind of defense, he's not going to be playing, every snap. So I think, honestly, it's a great trade for Robert Quinn and the Eagles.
Robert Quinn's still a dog, man.
Oh, he's great, but I mean,
So if you're an Eagles fan, I'd be hyped up about that. That's just, whew.
Yeah, 100%.
Fourth round pick, easy for him. I wouldn't say Chicago got the shaft. But I still think.
No.
I think the Eagles definitely come out as a winner in that trade. I'm definitely feeling good if I'm an Eagles fan. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm happy with this trade. And if I'm a Chicago fan, am I a little bit upset now? Yes, but think about it like this. Chicago has a great tendency to draft defensive players. It is one of their strong suits. And with a fourth round pick, they might be able to pick somebody up that can replace Robert Quinn and then be there for longer and, kind of fill in that space. It really depends on what Chicago does with that draft pick. Honestly, I think the Eagles win it overall, but both teams should be all right with what's happened.
All right. You want to talk about the Chiefs adding a receiver?
Yeah. So the Chiefs have received Kadarius Toney from the New York Giants for a 2023 third round compensatory draft pick and a sixth round draft pick. So I don't know what you're thinking about this, but I think that the Chiefs adding another receiver, once again, can't be a bad thing. They have, a couple of good receivers on the team, but, with the loss of Tyreek Hill, trying to, fit people in and get used to the scheme again and get things going, I think it can't hurt.
Yeah, definitely. Giving Patrick Mahomes more weapons is never a bad thing. Don't think you could say it ever is. They're obviously contenders right now, so giving away draft picks is not a big deal to the Kansas City Chiefs. They need weapons, and they need them now. They need to get Super Bowls while they're in their prime, I would say. But for New York, this is also a good trade because they're going to be building up their future as they're starting to see the light at the end of that tunnel.
Oh yeah, the Giants are doing pretty good this season, to be quite frank. And like you said, yes, Kansas City are probably going to have a later draft pick, but it's still draft picks, and if you can do something with it, you can make up what you lost and maybe more. So honestly, I think for both teams, this is a good trade.
Yes, definitely. So moving into the next one, we have a little bit of a linebacker swap from the Bears and the Ravens. Roquan Smith, A.J. Klein, and some picks going to the Bears. We got a second-round draft pick and a fifth-round draft pick, both in 2023. I think this is really a win for the Bears, to be quite honest with you. I don't know much about A.J. Klein, if I'm being honest. I know Roquan Smith was definitely a solid linebacker. Definitely gets the job done. But looking for the future for Chicago, I think this is definitely a good trade. Sadly, as a Packers fan, seeing that.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm looking at it like this, I think what Chicago is doing this season is they are pretty much mortgaging the rest of the season. They have a chance to make it through, but the NFC North is still a tough division, and right now I think what they're doing is they're kind of mortgaging the rest of the season, saying, "Hey, we'll get the draft picks, we'll give away some of the team, and we'll come back next year with an even better squad." I think with the draft picks that they're going to get this year, the fact that they've given away Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn, I think the fact that they're giving away these players and they're getting in the draft picks and they're getting ready for the next couple of years, I think honestly what Chicago's doing is they're mortgaging this season for the next couple. And I think for Chicago themselves, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. You want to move into one of the hot trades of this trade deadline. And
yes, so this one's actually pretty big in terms of just numerical value. So Minnesota traded with the Detroit Lions. Minnesota receives tight end TJ Hawkinson, a 2023 fourth round, and a 2024 conditional fourth round pick. Detroit receives the 2023 second and the 2024 fourth. What are your thoughts on this? Because I got a few on my own, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
I will tell you, hands down, the Vikings won this trade. There is no doubt about it. TJ Hawkinson is a dog. And trading some draft picks, I mean, yeah, they're a little later, but Vikings still win this by far, in my opinion. TJ Hawkinson is that guy. You get him the ball, he's going to be that tight end, Travis Kelce type guy. He's going to be that red zone finder in the end zone. So, and it kind of ticks me off as a Packers fan that the Lions are trading TJ Hawkinson within the division. It just makes me mad. Yes, because I'm a Packers fan and we're not doing too hot right now, and it's just going to make the Vikings even better. So it's a little sour taste for a Packers fan because the Vikings are building up this great team. Just adding another solid tight end is just like, come on, man.
Yeah. Honestly, like you said, TJ Hawkinson is a great tight end, and quite frankly, looking at what Minnesota has in their team, they have a good team so far. They have a good offense so far, but they've kind of been missing that offensive red zone tight end threat. And I think with the addition of Hawkinson, they are definitely gaining that back. They're going to get that red zone threat They're going to have the draft picks coming in. Yeah, like you said, they're not great draft picks, but they're draft picks nonetheless. They can get somebody for it. And, Detroit, they're walking away with decent stuff, but I honestly I think Minnesota's running away with this trade, as well as the fact that you said Detroit traded within division. And honestly, I think all that does is make Detroit a worse team. It's going to put Minnesota farther ahead of them. And quite frankly, for as sad as it is, Detroit isn't that great of a squad. They've been putting up good games this year, but they just haven't been able to win it. And I don't think this is going to help them at all.
Yeah, and it's the same old story, same old lines. They never want to pay that guy. So what do? They trade him away.
Yep.
So moving on to the next one, which hurts me a little even more. Chase Claypool going to the Bears. In my opinion, I wanted this to be the Packers. I wanted this to be the Packers' blockbuster trade. Aaron Rodgers gets help. Chase Claypool coming to the rescue. Instead, he goes to Justin Fields and the Bears. To me, this just shows the Bears are not giving up on Justin Fields. They're trying to build around him. They're trying to keep going strong in that effort. I know you said kind of mortgage. I don't think they've quite given up on this season, to be quite honest, just yet. I think they're still going to probably try and sneak into that wild card spot. Obviously, Vikings doing well. It's probably going to have to be a wild card spot at this point. But we're only halfway through the season. A lot can happen. But I wouldn't say Pittsburgh losses. They get a second round out of Chase Claypool. But for the Bears, this is definitely a good trade.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm taking the Bears to have the benefit of the doubt in this trade. They're getting Chase Claypool. It's really good for them. And quite frankly, like you said, yes, I did say they're going to mortgage the future, or mortgage the season for the future. If you can get Claypool on a 2 or 3 year deal, I don't know what the extent of the contract is or was. We'll figure that one out. But I think you're getting him. You're going to get him incorporated this season, and next season he's going to be a big guy and a big threat. Pittsburgh making out with a second round draft pick. Honestly, it's good for them for what they need. I think Pittsburgh also needs to start considering, maybe giving away a couple of things here and there, getting some more draft picks, getting a younger squad. Their squad's kind of, getting older and falling apart, but it's still a good squad. But I genuinely think that Claypool going in there to Chicago is definitely going to help out their offense with, Fields having a lot of issues this year with throwing and making passes because he just doesn't have, Allen Robinson there anymore to take away some of that pressure on other receivers. I think, with the addition of Claypool and the addition of another threat, you're going to have this big issue of, okay, now we have more people to cover, so Fields can't just, throw it downfield. So it's going to be interesting to see how Chicago play with that and how defenses play against it.
Yeah, definitely. And going into the next trade, I don't want to talk about this one too much. Cornerback William Jackson to Pittsburgh, and then a little bit of pick swaps there, 6th round, 7th round. Washington gets 6. To me, this is a good addition for Pittsburgh as well. But I don't want to talk about this one too much. I kind of want to jump around to the more blockbuster trades that kind of happened here at the deadline. Going up to Bradley Chubb to Miami. I know this was a big one. Definitely a win for Miami there, getting Bradley Chubb from the Broncos.
Yeah. Getting another linebacker, like we've said in the past picks, being able to rotate people in and out. He's a great linebacker. He does his job well. I think he's going to be a great addition to Miami and what they're doing this season and what they can be in the future. You also gained a 2025 fifth. Not that much there, but you never know. The other thing that I want to look at here is, yes, I think Miami made out like a bandit on this, but Denver didn't make out too shabby on their own here. I mean, look at what they got. Chase Edmonds, a 1st-round draft pick this year, and a 4th in 2024. That's pretty good for Denver.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Miami lost. Wouldn't say Denver won. About a half and half split. Bradley Chubb probably definitely happy to be out of Denver. I will say that, and into a winning team. I bet he's thrilled about that.
Yeah, I think it'll also be interesting to see Chase Edmonds, going around and what he can do with the Denver offense and see what they can pull off. It'll be interesting to see. Hopefully it makes Denver a better squad because, they've been struggling a little bit. But, It is what it is. But I think for both players and both teams, this is a good trade.
All right, you want to talk about this next Jaguars trade?
Ooh, this one's a good one. This one's definitely a good one. So the Jacksonville Jaguars traded with the Atlanta Falcons for Calvin Ridley. And Atlanta received a conditional fifth round pick this year in 2023 and a conditional second round pick in 2024. I have a couple thoughts on this. I don't know. What are yours?
Mine is that Jacksonville wins this trade, in my opinion. There's some conditional picks there, but second and fifth round could be good. Calvin Ridley, how much you want to bet that he's gonna make the Jaguars the winning team if you get that joke? He's been suspended, not able to play this week. Unfortunately, he's not been to play all season to showcase what he can do. I've seen him play at Bama. He's a dog. Seen him play in Atlanta. He's a dog. So we'll see what he can do with old Trevor Lawrence there. That'll be a good weapon for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, honestly, if we look at what happened earlier with the loss of James Robinson, it means that they're going to have to kind of transition a little bit away from the run game. They still have Travis Etienne, but they're going to need to transition a little bit more to the passing game. And I think with the addition of Calvin Ridley and what he can do, it'll be really good for the squad in general. I think also, Jacksonville has good receivers, but having the addition of Ridley, somebody with some experience in the league, somebody that knows what they're doing, I think somebody that can just bring that offense to another level is going to be really nice for Jacksonville.
And he's not able to play till next season, correct?
I'm not sure on that one. I believe so, but I am not for sure.
That suspension was a whole year, I think. All right, so you want to talk a little bit about who you think your winners and losers are of this draft, in your opinion.
Okay, so let's run back through these really quick and hit the big ones. Personally, I'm going to take Arizona and Robbie Anderson as a win for Arizona. That was a good trade. The Christian McCaffrey trade was good. James Robinson trade, that was also another good one. This trade deadline had a few good ones. Robert Quinn to the Eagles, that was a great trade for the Eagles. Roquan Smith going to Baltimore works out for both teams. I think that was a good one this year. Minnesota and TJ Hawkinson, that's a great trade for them. Chase Claypool gives Chicago more weapons. I think that's a good trade. Bradley Chubb, I think that's a great trade. Calvin Ridley, I think it can be a good trade when he comes back next year. Any losers? You have a couple of teams that probably got the shorter end of the stick in their trades, but I don't think anybody just flat out lost completely. Maybe Atlanta in their trade with Calvin Ridley, but much past that, it's all just how the draft choices are actually used. If the draft choices go through and they're poorly used, you never know. But I honestly think it's hard to tell who's going to be a straight loser of this trade deadline. I think you have a lot of winners, though.
All right. Mine's going to be quick, short, and simple. Let's go. I got 2 winners, and I got 1 ultimate loser. I wouldn't really say there was any, this team got robbed. I think the people who actually participated in the trade deadline did a great thing. I think it was a great move. I applaud those teams. But those that did not participate, one of those is definitely my loser. And I think we all know where this is going. But let me start off with my winners. I say definitely, in my mind, there's 2 teams that stand out that were winners to me. They're maybe not the teams that are all in the headlines, Super Bowl contenders, and I think those 2 are the 49ers and the Minnesota Vikings. I think these 2 teams were definitely winners in this. Adding TJ Hawkinson and Christian McCaffrey, those just make your team that much better, and being a Super Bowl contender, I think it's definitely what they needed to push them towards a Super Bowl run. I wouldn't say it's the defining moment of their season, but I would definitely say, especially for the 49ers, I think they, number one, won this trade deadline. I think it was definitely worth it going all in. It's kind of what the Rams did last season. That was kind of their recipe for success. And these modern day teams seem like they're winning Super Bowls by going all in at the trade deadline and going all in making moves to win a Super Bowl. And that leads me into my loser. a team that historically has never been very active at the trade deadline and definitely lost by not participating this year, the Green Bay Packers. As a Packer fan, this is sad for me to see. We gave Rodgers no weapons. To me, as a fan, this is just frustrating, disappointing, because you've seen how poorly the receiving core has been, and Rodgers' weapons haven't been there. You could argue if it is Rodgers, if it is his receivers, you could go on and on about that, but the management has done nothing to help out. So that's kind of tough for me to see as a Packers fan. I don't know what you think about that.
I think going off of teams that weren't active in the trade, I definitely think that you're right with the Packers kind of losing out on this. I also think that you can make an argument with Tampa Bay and like Seattle for that instance. But I think, with all of those teams, something's just not clicking with all of them. Something's wrong. There's a team in Green Bay that's playing well. They need help. Something's not clicking. There's a team in Tampa Bay. They need help. Something's not clicking. There's a team in Seattle. They're actually doing okay, but they just need help in general. I think that
Geno Smith's a dog, though, man.
Yeah, he's been doing great, but I think in general the team is going to need a little bit more, fortification and everything to actually, contend with everybody else. So I think between those three teams and the fact that they haven't been active and the fact that they almost need to be active because, things aren't clicking in Green Bay. Things aren't working well in Tampa. If Seattle wants to go anywhere in the future, they're going to need to start making moves.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the name of the game nowadays. Making a move is where we're seeing these high-level teams are actually making moves nowadays rather than... I mean, don't get me wrong, the drafting is still core of the team, but these teams are just getting over that hump by making moves at the trade deadline, I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely think the big teams like Minnesota or San Francisco are teams that have a shot to actually make it to the Super Bowl. You're right. They're definitely making moves in the deadline, and it's helping them in the long run. So I think that for teams like them, they're making out like bandits in this.
All right. Well, that about concludes it. Thank you, Eric, for helping me make this video. If you guys have any comments down below and your own winners and losers of this trade deadline, put them down below. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. And as always, we will see you next time. See ya.
See ya.